And it's when you engage that user and treat that user as a person, treat that user as a vital, more important part of your company's future growth and success. When you do that, that's when your business takes a whole different look and view. That's when your business takes off and grows. When you stop building apps, when you stop marketing and creating campaigns that you think the users want, that you think are going to be effective, when you start thinking about what you think works, and when you start listening and learning on what other people think works, that's when your business changes, and that's what happened to us. On December 17, 2011, our business exploded because we built an app that we listened to our users who said, we want this, give us this, give us this. And by listening, we were able to find out that there were some very viral components that our users wanted. And that was instant gratification. I want to be able to be rewarded instantly on my mobile device with a gift card. And the ability to get rewarded on the mobile device for a variety of tasks, whether it be installing an app, taking a survey, or an email submit. All right, let's get it very big. Thank you. Awesome. So,
if you don't stop chewing up my clothes, there'll be no more doggy treats or nice walkies outside. Do you understand? But the Mediaco dog is reading doggy treats and walkies outside, which gives a completely different message if you only take those parts of the element out. And that was happening with content. People were just putting keywords in any sort of gobbledygook content and giving a completely different meaning to the sentences. Complete gobbledygook. What you've got to do is make sure whatever content you write, it's got to read right. It's got to read how you would read it, how your clients want to read it, how your clients want to interact with it. And you've got to keep it relatively short and sweet, straight to the point. When we talk about the old maxims, right thing, right way, right person, at the right time, it is, okay, essentially, if you're writing for an audience and your audience is in the teen world, then perhaps your content, the way you're writing on it, may not be on your website particularly. It may be through your social media. You're using a different language set. Write the content for the reader. Once you've got your content and you know your content strategy, you know which key phrases you want to target, you need to make sure that you're targeting trusted sites. And by trusted sites, I mean, again, sites that are well ranked by Google and have their own traffic. These sites hopefully then will produce you a valuable link and potentially traffic back to your site. But what you may have is you may have a wide range of sites that you're going to be working across, because you've got different phrases, different audiences, different markets. So you need to make sure that you're working in the right channel for each individual word or phrase. Okay. Social media and SEO, the two are exactly the same. If you actually follow the SEO processes of using the phrase in the page title, using the content title, etc., you're doing exactly the same from a social media point of view. So if you're going to write an article that you're going to post on social media networks, you write it in exactly the same way as you may have written content for your SEO on your website, and it's going to have an SEO impact on your website. Some great quotes here, I love these ones. Benjamin Franklin, write something worth reading about or do something worth writing about. He could have written that for social media, because there is so much rubbish spouted around social media. Like, has anybody had their Twitter post about somebody getting off a bus and I'll see you in 5 minutes? You know, do I really need to know? You know, what we're talking about, if you're in the business world and you're actually putting business information out there, it's got to be useful, interesting, engaging information. If it's not, don't say it. And particularly when you get to Twitter, you've got 140 characters to take on the world. You've got to say 140 characters. So, dear old Abe Lincoln was famous for saying, I'm sorry for writing such a long letter, I didn't have time to write a short one. Once again, that could have been written for Twitter, because you've got 140 characters to get your message across as succinctly as possible, in such an exciting way and engaging way as possible, that people will retweet that and share that and put that information out to their network. And therefore you are getting more traction from a tweet that you have sent out. If you do it on the cuff and you're sending out something very, very quickly, it may not have the impact. Take a step back, think about it. What is the message you're actually putting out there? Becoming an authority. Does anybody know what rel author tags? 1 and 2, right? Whenever you write anything, whenever you're publishing any content, you can actually establish yourself as an authority for that content. Look at rel author, and it will give you some information on Google about what it is. But essentially, any content that you go out, put your identity on it. It's establishing you as an authority in your marketplace, so that when they want to buy, they will come to you. If you try and sell directly, they will kill you. Anybody hear about the HSBC? Actually, is there anybody here from HSBC? Right. HSBC launched a £2 million advertising campaign for students through Facebook in the same week that they removed free banking for students. Didn't work. I wonder why. But you've got to remember, you may be working for a large organisation organisation, you've got thousands of staff, but at the end of the day, people buy people. If you're working on a social media platform and it's your identity, people will want to engage with you, they will want to buy from you. Make sure that you're actually involved in the right way. And that then where it comes down to where agencies can particularly help you. Because there's an awful lot of time you have to invest in this. You have to get all the setup right in the first place. You have to make sure the configuration's right in the first place. Make sure your branding is configured correctly. Make sure that you have the right identity and that you are promoting yourself in the right way. And then you need to manage it on an ongoing basis. Here's an example of somebody that didn't do it correctly. This was the 4th largest house builder in the UK. This comment, I won't read it, but if you look at the top right hand side, I think it says it all. Right? This comment was on their Facebook wall for 7 days. Right? Nobody monitoring it, nobody looking at it. This was up there, everybody was moaning. In the end, there was about 96 replies to this lady. Apparently her door handle on her door was loose. It was an easy fix, nobody was monitoring it, and it went away. Okay. We talked about Google+. Google+ Google will tell you categorically that Google+ has no impact on Google search rankings whatsoever. Thank you for playing. All of the evidence suggests that if you have a Google Plus presence and you actually interact with Google Plus frequently and you start to gain followers, etc., you will find that it will impact on your search rankings. That's where social and search is really starting to merge. Google will continue to push Google Plus. It is certainly a must-have as far as you are concerned. Okay. What's the future? Well, mobile search is definitely the future. If your site isn't mobile configured, it needs to be. You may have all heard the news about the recent launch of all the 4G that's coming into the UK. It's coming. Local search is going to come on the back of that because people will be using their mobile phone more to find local restaurants, places of interest, etc. Local search, local services, etc. If your site isn't configured for mobile, it needs to be. If you need a separate site for mobile, get one. Right? You can then use your mobile and actually have its own social media campaign for your mobile site. Right? But again, make sure that your content is quality content. Video, absolutely paramount. If you've got a video-related product and you can use video, make sure that you're using video in the right way and it's configured in the right way on your site. Make sure you are conducting social media activity. And by activity, it doesn't have to be every day, but you need to be doing something within your social media profiles on a regular basis. You need to be getting that message out there. You need to be engaging with your audience. User-generated content is where the future is. It is no longer that push marketing. It is basically its response. Right? Your clients are going to be telling you what your website should be doing. They're going to be telling you what you should be doing through social media. And actually, in certain instances, if your product range fits, why don't you ask them what they want to see and what they want to do? Because essentially, this is where the future is moving. Social media, SEO, is actually blurring. The lines are blurred. They are no longer two separate entities. They are one. You need to embrace that. Thank you very much for listening.
Because ultimately, likes are meaningless to a certain extent. Because it doesn't matter how many people like you if no one sees what you do on Facebook, right? I'd rather have 100 fans and all of them see what I do, have 1,000 and none of them see what I do, right? That logic makes sense, right? And edge ranks, yeah, that's that. So just in case anyone's sort of not, I mean, you all know this, you're all kind of strong social media marketers, but just to set the scene, the theme by the people who like you, you need to understand these 3 concepts, and they're dead simple, right? The first of those is affinity. And affinity is just a tarty word saying how close Facebook think the person who created that content is to the person reading and consuming that content. I'm going to go into this in more detail, but affinity is the first of those 3 elements. The second of them is weight. Right? So weight is kind of how important does Facebook consider that piece of content to be. And the final is decay, which I don't know why they call it decay, but essentially it's time. Right, so your 3 elements are affinity, so how close you are to the person or the people. Weight, so how relatively important is that type of content. And timing, so how recent is it, right? So to start off, I'll take a step back, right? An edge rank means a ranking of edges. And an edge is kind of this thing that happens within Facebook that they talk about, and the newsfeed is essentially a ranking of those edges. So what is an edge? It's when you upload a photo. It's when you like a page. It's when you update a status. It's when you read an article, if you've got one of those kind of guides. And I wouldn't actually use this phrase, but if you've got a big launch, a big competition, you're doing something you really want to make a fuss about on Facebook. Sometimes the inclination is that you'll go a bit quiet, right? Because you're concentrating on this new thing that you're doing. entirely the wrong thing to do from trying to optimise your edge rank perspective. You actually kind of want, ahead of a big launch, an affinity acquisition approach, right? Which is a bit tarty, a bit, over the top. But really you want to be thinking about, well, actually, on day zero, I want as many people to see this thing I'm doing as possible. Brilliant. 15 days from ahead of that, you want to be thinking about what you can be doing to build the affinity so you're most likely to appear when you've got that big update going. So what are some of the ways you can actively encourage people to have affinity towards you? Well, you can ask questions, right? So if they respond to that question, they have sent a signal to Facebook that they have a connection to you, that they are connected to you, that they have affinity. If I've got a big competition I'm launching, I might ask them a question a couple of days beforehand to increase the affinity beforehand. I can have a vote, right? Votes again, someone voting on a poll that you've got, that's a signal of affinity. So you've got to be thinking about all these little things you're doing ahead of the big update. You can bait them as well, right? So this is kind of sometimes a little bit, say for your customers, there's a really divisive issue that there's lots of people who've got lots of perspectives on. Maybe you should be doing that, starting that type of discussion ahead of this big launch you've got, because they won't help themselves but comment on it, and by commenting on it, you're setting yourself up well to appear again in the future.